Hello, welcome to the Anders podcast. My name is James.
And my name is Daniel.
And my name's Yen. All three of us have been tutoring junior students in our college days. So today we're going to talk about some struggles or some stories we have had teaching our students. We're also going to discuss a bit about some education stuff in Taiwan here. So the first question, how did you start tutoring?
Start tutoring?
Yeah.
Well, I will start from my application process.
Okay.
Because in Taiwan, we have so many ways to apply and to become a tutor.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you can file your resume on some website, or you can just maybe find some occupation in our school society.
So it's you have an intention that you want to be a tutor.
Yes, you have to be like a hunter.
Okay, so you're like a job hunter.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Our school has a school board for students, right? And a lot of the time, the parents of these kids, they will go on to our school boards and then post an ad to ask for students to teach them, right? Yeah. So that's, I think a lot of people find tutors that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, and
Did you find tutors that way?
Well, I once find a tutor job.
Yeah.
In this way, but I soon quickly being fired.
Fired. Okay.
Yeah.
So how about the second one, the second tutor job you have got?
Oh, the second job I got is by filing my resume to some website.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's like a job or career website.
Yes.
Like a job search website,
job search,
right?
It's quite effective.
Uh-huh.
You can search so many jobs opportunity at the same time.
So you have to contact them directly, or?
Yes, you can send them your resume.
Oh, well, that's quite different from me. So my first tutoring job was I was introduced by one of my friends.
Oh.
Yeah, and she asked me if I would like to teach the students there. A student of her, I think it's her ex-tutoring students or something like that. Yeah, she just asked me about that, and I go there and interviewed with his parents, and then go to tutoring him or her. So how about you, James?
I actually just started tutoring this summer.
Wow.
So I'm actually quite a novice.
Newbie
in tutoring. Yeah, because I've gone through college without tutoring because I've did a lot of different jobs. But somehow I didn't do tutoring.
Yeah.
I help people film videos or do translation stuff. But I've never ever picked up tutoring. So this was quite a new experience for me, and I actually didn't find it actively. It was my dad's friend's child. So I got recommended by my dad to his friend, and I went to a very short interview. It wasn't really an interview.
Yeah.
I was just trying to see how their kids are performing at school and what they want to learn from me. And then I made some notes, and then I just went tutoring.
Yeah.
It's quite simple as that. Yeah. I was actually surprised how simple it was.
Yeah. That's my first
interviewing
image.
process.
Yeah. That's also my first image for tutoring, because that's so simple. I just go there and someone introduced me. So yeah, it's just there's a middleman between us, and
because if you get a job normally, you're kind of very nervous before job. Right? You prepare your resume, and you're worried about your interview, right?
Yeah.
But actually, getting this tutoring job wasn't that much of a hassle for me. It was just going there and meeting the parents, meeting the kids, and just friendly chatting, right?
Yeah. So will the parent ask you to teach maybe for 1 hour as a trial time?
Yeah, I think
I didn't do that. Some parents will ask you to teach trial, right? Trial.
Yeah, trial teaching. Yeah.
But for me, I didn't do that. I just went straight to class. Yeah.
Yeah, I go straight to class too. And at the time, I just feel so nervous. I even get a haircut, and I'm dressed up very neat, and go there, and we meet at a cafe, and I and his parents and the students there. Yeah, it's it's very serious. I felt very serious, but actually that his mom just told me that you can relax. We don't have to do so serious like that. Yeah, but I think if someone introduced you, you're been trust by the parents or the students, right?
it's like an attitude thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you want to present yourself well, and also you want to, act like you're very, very interested, or like you are very invested in this project, and not you're just doing it for the money, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to convey to the parents.
Yeah.
And I think that went well, right? Yeah.
So, like, I think you make the point about tutoring. So, what do you think tutoring is different from like traditional cram schools in Taiwan? Because cram schools, we have big classes and we have a teacher on the stage, but tutoring we have to go one-on-one.
Yeah.
So I think the dynamic is quite different here.
Actually, a lot of kids go to cram school more, right?
Yeah.
Go to like a lot of classes and cram school classes rather than getting a tutor.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, almost all my classmates went to cram schools.
I went to
instead of
cram
getting
school
tutor.
too.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between maybe cram school and a tutor?
I would
what do
say
you think?
a large cram school have much more resource and much more skillful tutor.
Oh, so you said that like course materials.
Yes,
Okay.
because they spend so many years to develop their own course materials.
Oh yeah. It's like designed for the curriculum from the school.
Yes.
Yeah. Personally, I would say tutoring is like a more liberal way for. You can have more freedom on
More flexible.
way on teaching and on, but also maybe someone can say that this method of teaching or strategy of teaching is not so well proved.
Yeah, I would say maybe like in cram school, the material is more rigorous, right?
Oh, yeah,
it's
yes.
more like tested by people, and you're guaranteed to do well on tests, right?
Yeah.
But for tutoring, it's actually a much more flexible or elastic experience, right?
Yeah.
So you're actually tailor-made to the student. So whatever the student has question with, you can help out.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can also design like your own courses to help with the student.
Yes, you can find out the problem of the student.
Yeah, but that is also the potential downfall because
Yes.
it might be not suited for testing or like for the schoolwork, right?
Yeah.
So you're always worried that you are not good enough for like compared to cram schools, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of my friend, she once told me about something that she felt frustrated on tutoring one of her students. It's like that she's on an online tutoring. But just nowadays, on the COVID-19 pandemic, you just go on online tutoring. So she goes on online tutoring, and her student, I think, is a boy, and she teach him English, and throughout the whole tutoring time, like 2 hours or so, his father, the boy's father, just monitoring them during all the tutoring process. So it's like she's not been she's not been trusted by her father to like having a good teaching between she and her students. So she just have to like fix to and just stick to the
curriculum. Like you cannot really chat with the student, right?
Yeah,
because you have pressure, like people with, like your parents are watching, right?
Yeah. So the main problem she told me about is like she find it very hard to build a kind of a trusted relationship between she and her students.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you have such an experience? So how do you build up a like kind of a trusted relationship, a good relationship, I would say, between you and your students?
Yeah, I think I was very lucky because the parents, they trust me quite a bit. So during class, they leave to go to other places, and they only come after class. Yeah.
Really? So where did you do the tutoring?
So I tutor at their house. So at their house, they have the lobby, like an apartment building. So in the lobby area.
Yeah.
So her parents will just go back to their room or something, and then leave the space for us to study.
Yeah.
And I think that is very, very very good for me, and I'm very lucky to have that kind of relationship because you know it's much better. You have more freedom, and you can. I don't know. I feel like I have less pressure when I tutor like this, right?
If you're not monitored by anyone.
When you're not monitored by your parents, and you feel trusted. And somehow you want to do well despite they're not being there. Yeah.
Like you're self-encouraged.
Yeah.
So how do you think about this?
Well, in my case, I think that I gain the trust from my student first, and then from his or her parent, because I have a trial time, right?
You have a trial time before you just go directly into the materials.
It is a student who choose me, so they like the way I teach.
Okay.
So the parents will follow the will of the student.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're like encouraging your students to like have more discussion with their parents or something?
Yes, I tend to let my student choose the way she want to learn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so like more fits to her will.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's also luck, right? You have to be very lucky to have like chemistry with your students.
Yes.
And then it works out, from the first class.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like one of my tutor students' family right now, his mother just asked me if I can, being a senior partner for his child, just having some instruction for like his future on if you're going to university or going to college, if there's something where there's some struggles that he will face, just act more like friends, not only like teachers and students, like the strict or
like
serious
a brother, maybe,
relation.
like an elder brother,
something like that.
Me too. My tutor asked me to, help with their schoolwork, not only the subject I teach, but also the other subjects. And help them find a way to university, I think.
Yeah. So I think that's the main point of the whole tutoring thing. Just be more flexible and more caring about the student's feeling.
And I think that's also the most rewarding of tutoring because because
definitely.
like compared to cram school, you have a more personal relationship with your student.
Yeah.
And you almost want him or her to do well, right? In the future, right? Yeah.
So like one of my friends, he's doing he's working as an like assistant teacher in the cram school. So he's not the one that speak on the stage, but he's the one that help students solve their problems like after class or during the break. So
like a TA, right?
Like TA, yeah. He just tell me that he liked this way much more than being on stage acting as a lecturer or something, because he thinks that this way that he can have more contact and more deep relationship with his or her students. Even I think he's doing now like the third year of his working career, and
that's quite long.
Yeah, quite long. And he even will go out with some of his students have graduated from high school and go on to university. So he even go to cafe with them, or they will chat together, like acting like they're just friends. So I think that's a very good relationship for him. Okay, so there's another question I would like to ask you. How do you plan your strategy of teaching the course material, because you still have to stick to the curriculum you have from school, right? So do you do any planning or any preparation before you actually go on teaching?
Well, the course material I use is actually my textbook I use in my high school.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I'm really familiar with every question in that textbook.
Yeah, definitely. You have all you.
So what do you teach in tutoring? Yeah,
I teach physics and chemistry.
Oh, okay.
Physics and chemistry.
Yeah,
so you use your own physics and chemistry textbook from when you were in high school.
So in Taiwan, maybe for American listeners, in Taiwan, physics and chemistry, this subject is just like some AP chemistry or AP physics for high schools, like 10th grade or 11th grade or something. So yeah, please continue on the strategy of
normally in
teaching.
our textbooks we have some example and some exercise and practice questions.
So it's like example problems and practice problems. Yeah.
So I will normally do the example problems and let the students solve the practice problem immediately. And I will observe how he or she solve the problem.
How she approaches
how
the
they
problem,
approach
right?
the problem.
It's quite important.
Yeah. So what did you do before you just go on to the example problem? You have to teach the concept first, right?
Because normally they have already learned those concepts in school.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe I will just emphasize some very essential principles. Yes.
So like having a review for them
Yes.
and go on to problem solving.
Because I believe you can learn more by doing yourself, by solving the problem.
Yeah. So would you like to give them homeworks or something?
No, I don't have that much energy to assign some homework for her.
Okay. So is there any interesting stuff you found when you're observing them solving the question? Is there any approach you found finding their, like, what do they struggle in? Or
I would say this problem solving strategy is quite different. Yes. So normally I will try to use some symbol to represent some physical value.
So it's like T for temperature.
Yes.
Okay.
But my students tend to use the number directly.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes she gets confused by those number.
But I think the mindset is quite different if you taking these two different approach, because if you put numbers directly, it's more like just for solving this question. Yeah, mathematical. It's just calculation, but using like symbols. It's like thinking process.
In Taiwan, we don't focus that much on the origins of the basic principles on like physics or chemistry. Like if you don't understand physics or chemistry in Taiwan, you could still do well
on the test
because you could just memorize how the exercise are solved, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and that is due to like Taiwan being very emphasized a lot on like during exercises. During the test questions, right? And not understanding the basic principles.
Yeah, so I really emphasize on the concept. So I will ask my student to write down the symbol and then put the number in the symbol.
Oh, so you're trying to like having them a strict format of how to do this kind of question. You have to make the symbols, make the formulas. Make out your points. Write down the formulas first
before you try to approach the question.
And before starting solving the problem, just read the question carefully and construct the whole strategy in your mind beforehand.
Yeah, actually, for me personally, I went to college and I found out that I have to think that way to make myself having more deep understanding for these formulas, these concepts. I actually find that way myself in college, not in my high school. In high school, I just solved it directly by all the process and method that was told by my teacher, and well practiced. Definitely,
I memorized everything. In high school.
You just memorize it. I think it's easier if you're a good memorizer. If you're good at memorizing,
very hard because you think that you're good at math or physics, but actually you aren't. And then you go into college into engineering or something, and you struggle. Because that is the way Taiwan education works.
They look at the results, that the answers, or they do multiple choices for mathematical problems. They just ask you that A, B, C, D, choose one of them if it is right or wrong. But they don't care about how do you actually do.
They seldom ask your like thinking process or like your logic behind it.
So after I went to university, I developed this kind of mindset by myself, and I felt that once I had a math teacher when I was in the first grade in high school, and I found his teaching method is quite messy. But after that, in my college, I like retroscape my mind, and I found that he's trying to make us on the right way of figuring all these things right, making all these things right. Okay, so there's another interesting thing I would like to share with you guys, because I was teaching math to I think it's 5th grade in the elementary school in Taiwan, and he's a boy. He is very joyful and very exciting every time I go to his house. Every time I went to his house. So he had a problem that he always writes those formulas or those numbers very messy. He just cannot write all these stuffs onto a straight line. So that actually bothers me very much, because every time the problem in his workbook was a mess, but he's smart enough to figure out the answer. So every time the answer is right, but it's a mess in his workbook. So I just tried a lot of different methods, and one time I tried an interesting way that I gave him a paper that it was ruled.
Oh,
So it was like preset by some some kind of printed lines on it, and I asked him to just write along these lines.
so did you success?
That worked.
Oh,
For my surprise, that worked very, very well, very, very well. So after that, he just gradually changed his habits and found out that I found out that he can explain himself much more fluently and much more clear to me and to his mother, and to maybe his classmates. So the point I want to make here is that there is something that's we're oblivious of it, that we just don't think that is something important, but actually it makes a very great difference in our learning or teaching process. So did you have any of these kind of experience when you're teaching or when you're learning new stuffs?
well, like I just said,
Yeah.
at first my students don't put much attention on the physical meaning of the problem.
Yeah.
So they just do it as a mathematical problem.
So only do the calculation.
Yes.
Okay. So
So I will ask her to maybe draw the picture to construct the whole concept of the questions, and write down the solving strategy one by one clearly, so that I can make sure that she fully understand every concept used in these questions.
Yeah. So that's for the kind of math or physics or chemistry, science stuff. So James, you teach in
I teach English.
English, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually still trying to find how to teach them, but right now I think my strategy is working. I give them vocabulary practice. I ask them to do some writing practice.
Yeah.
And then we go through magazine articles during class.
Oh, cool.
So I feel like that is a very traditional way to do English learning.
Yeah.
But I still want to, tailor the stuff to make it interesting for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it depends, because I have 3 students at once.
Wow.
And they go to different schools. So you have different strategies for different students.
So they have different curriculums. You have to.
Wow.
So
That's quite challenging.
challenging.
That is the most special, or most challenging part for me.
Yeah.
I think.
So there's another circumstances that you can imagine, that if there will be some times that your student don't believe in your answer.
Well,
Have you faced this kind of circumstances?
I hope they do. You know, I hope they have the courage to talk back to me. To question me in some English questions. Because that way I think that they really understand and they're thinking about what I'm teaching. Okay. But right now I don't think they have. I think they believe in whatever I say.
Yeah.
And so I have to make sure that I get everything right for them.
Yeah. So how would you?
well,
Daniel?
my student once questioned my solving strategies. Yes, because a question is quite complicated.
Okay.
Yes, you have
So
to.
you can maybe try to put it simple or analogous.
Because you have to solve maybe the velocity of some objects. So you have to deconstruct the object into some maybe a point and do some calculation.
Okay, so physics stuff. Yeah.
Yes, but she just could not figure out how did I did it.
Ideas come.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that happens with me also. Like when they don't understand what I'm talking about, then they will slow me down and ask me to explain one more time. Yeah. But not necessarily not believing in my answer. So that hasn't.
Yeah, so that is actually quite a struggle for me at a certain period of time, because one of my students he just took in all stuff, all the answers I told him, or he just took all stuff I taught him. It actually bothered me.
But it's easy. It's easy for students to do that. It's much more easier for them. It's much more. It's not that tiring for them to question you, right?
So I have to figure out another way to check that if he or she really understand what I'm talking about, and if he or she is actually thinking about this question.
I test them.
Yeah.
So I will ask them questions during teaching to make sure that they really understand. Yeah.
Okay.
And most of the time they don't really understand and they're just agreeing with me, and I can catch that and then tell them.
You have to catch them for being a tutor.
Yes. Normally I will use some question to diagnose their questions.
Yeah. Cool. Everyone have different ways to try.
Yes.
So after these kind of different iterations of different way or strategy of teaching, actually, I found out that there's a interesting thing I found out that is all the textbook are actually well designed. All the textbook you can find in a high school or maybe in the university mostly are well designed.
Yeah, it's perfected over generations.
Yeah.
So they ask the critical questions to make sure they understand everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, that's actually a very cool thing for me to figure out that actually textbook is really important for if you want to put everything right. Because when I was a student, I just don't read the text. I just don't read textbooks. I just go for the course material, supplementary materials from my teacher or from other references. Yeah, so that's quite interesting for me. So I don't think how do you think? I don't know how do you think. Did you read textbook when you were a student?
I've always think textbooks were very important for me. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
And I think I did. Yeah, because to understand the whole thinking process of the author of the textbook, that's very important for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about you, Daniel?
I focus more on the questions because when I was a student, I just want to finish my homework quickly. Yes.
So you just make everything just simple or direct.
Yes. After understanding the concept of this chapter, I will jump to the question part and maybe do several problems to check my own ideas.
Yeah. Cool. So is there any other struggle or frustration or maybe other stories you like to share to our listeners when you're during your tutoring time?
Well, sometimes it's really hard to translate, maybe interpret my own meaning to my students.
Or to your words, make your mind thought into your words.
Yes.
Yeah.
My students just cannot follow my thought.
So will there be any misunderstanding between you and your student?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
One thing that I think I'm very good at is using metaphors.
Yeah.
So for me, if I have questions with teaching them my thinking, then I use a lot of metaphors, in different situations that they can relate to, and that helps me a lot with teaching, telling them my ideas.
I think that is one of personality of James because I always found that he's very good at explaining difficult
because it's everybody has an understanding of their own, right? So you have to use the things that they are really they can relate to, things that they can relate to.
Maybe it may make the thing more simplified, but they can get the point.
Yes,
I think that's quite essential when it's just only about teaching, but about discussing or communicating with each other.
Yeah, sometimes I will use my stationery to interpret some abstract idea into a concrete one.
Stationery? What do you mean?
Maybe eraser on my pen.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe when I'm trying to explain the friction force, I will use my eraser.
Yeah?
Like models, right?
Yes,
wow,
model.
cool.
Yeah, like models.
Cool. Well, that's quite interesting. So have the tutoring experiences changed you, your personally, or your your thoughts on different things, or how your way of interacting with others in any aspect? Is there anything like that you have found?
Learning to deal with kids, I think.
Yeah,
because I don't have that much experience in learning to deal with younger kids.
So how old are they?
I have a brother, but I don't think that translates very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're in high school or junior high school?
Yeah, they're in high school. I think they're the first year in high school. And so I think that there's an age gap there.
Yeah.
And you have to try to eliminate that.
And sometimes what they focus on is quite different from yours.
Yeah. And a lot of the metaphors, sometimes I find, like a lot of the thing I want to tell them, maybe like famous artists or like famous stuff, they've never heard of it before. Like something like a generation gap. And I think that is something that is the hardest for me right now. I have to learn to understand what they're thinking right now.
And what is,
that's
cool.
In right now. Yeah. We are not old, so
we're not.
So we can really imagine like some older people, they really have difficulty, communicating with the younger people.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. How about you, Daniel?
Well, the most inspiring thing is that the thing that my student care is quite different from the thing I care.
So is that what James said? Like they're interested, or like there's a generation gap between you, or it's just kind of a difference of your own mind.
It's a little bit like a generation gap.
A little bit. Yeah.
Even though I'm just only maybe 3 years older than my student.
Yeah.
But maybe our interest, the video we watched is completely different.
Oh.
Yes.
So it's like maybe you're hard to find
Yes, it's sometimes hard to find maybe a proper metaphors to let her understand
to translate your ideas. Okay. Yeah. I have the same experience, and also my students are like 3, 4, or maybe 5 years lower than my age. So yeah, sometimes I went on to these kind of problems as well. But for me, I think tutoring. One thing that tutoring changed me very much is like, I think I would try to. I learned how to make myself more take work as work, not as something I have to care for. Because I actually have met one student that I can feel that his or her family have some kind of problem, and they have some kind of problem that's directly affected his or her learning. But it's hard for me to just intervene into these kind of stuff. I have to just make myself to take this thing as a work, but not something I have the, you can say, maybe the rights to care more about.
You have to strike a balance, I think. Because sometimes you have to turn out your empathy a little bit.
Yeah.
That's because you're going to be too invested in tutoring if that happens, right?
That's none of your business, because there's family stuff.
Yeah.
There's none of your business. So I think the most I learned is these like
to separate
practical
work
stuff
from personal stuff. Yeah, and that's very important.
Yeah.
So do you have any tutoring experience that you want to share with us? Any very special students or like very funny stories you can share with us on YouTube, on Spotify?
Just comment below
and then try to talk to us, and then we love to hear stories. So I think that's about the time we have for today. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.